Well, I hate to tell you this, ISIS back on the rise in spite of facing defeat in former strongholds in Iraq and Syria. The extremist group has taken its violence to the Marawi city in the Philippines. Islamist militants laid siege to the once prospering commercial district in May, and since then they've left almost 600 people dead, 400,000 folks displaced. Here to discuss, retired gunnery sergeant of the Marine Corps and London Center for Policy Research, senior fellow Jessie Jane Duff, and former Secretary of the Air Force official and former Chief of Staff official Rebecca Grant. Welcome to you both. Rebecca, I'll start with you. You know, I didn't even know they were in the Philippines, and now I see that they're creating complete havoc. What do you make of this?
I know, right? We have Mosul in miniature down there in southern Mindanao. Martial law was declared back in May. The Philippine Congress just extended that. So this is typical ISIS pattern. They're a bunch of greedy thugs. They're after turf, they're after cash, and they've set up a siege and have taken people hostage. So the Philippine government forces are trying to slowly fight their way back in, but they're saying it's going to take some time. We also have reports that U.S. forces are assisting our special forces. That probably means some help with surveillance, tactical communications, and other intelligence. But it's bad, typical ISIS pattern, and we got to stop it and stamp it out.
But how do we do that, Jane? I mean, you look at this, it seems like they're just, it's impossible to get rid of them.
Well, they are thugs and cockroaches at that. They seem to fester throughout the world. The reality is that the United States Marine Corps, the Navy, and the Army are very well trained in jungle warfare. So the fact is that we have to direct our targets and ensure that we are able to assist our Philippine counterparts. The problem also is that many of these fighters are coming from Indonesia and Malaysia, where the largest Muslim populations in the world exist. So when we push them out of there, recognize they will be going back to Malaysia and Indonesia as hardened fighters, so we can expect that this will continue to fester. It's imperative that we take out their leadership and try to circumvent this before it grows into another problem like we already have growing in the Middle East.
Rebecca, President Rodrigo Duterte there saying, hey, this could be a year. We could be here doing this for a year, fighting ISIS on the ground. Do you think it'll last that long, or do you think it'll last longer?
Hey, this is urban warfare, and Secretary Mattis always reminds us that that favors the defense. It's slow going. I think they'll get there quicker than a year, but he's not making any early promises, so he's cautious. They have to protect their forces and go in and do as little damage as possible while being really effective in stamping that out. Also, they want to see where these foreign fighters might squeeze out to and end up after this part of the conflict ends.
Jeez, on and on it goes. I want to move on to another story, though, today. President Trump announcing a ban on transgender individuals serving in the military. I want to get your reaction to this. Jane, to you first. What do you make of it? Is it the right thing to do?
Absolutely. There was already a ban on this prior to the Obama administration, and Secretary Ash Carter dropped this on the Secretary Chiefs last year before he left office. All of the service chiefs stated that they could not accommodate this. This is not just a issue that is an easy accommodation. You're talking about an impact upon taxpayers paying for transgender surgery, medication, and personnel that are non-deployable, which means they need to be replaced by those who can deploy. You're not going to get your hormone treatment therapy on the battlefield in Syria. So with that said, I support President Trump for doing this and coming out aggressively. It should have never happened in the first place.
Rebecca, I want to get your reaction to the Trump tweets today. Here's what he said on Twitter. After consultation with my generals and military experts, please be advised that the United States government will not accept or allow transgender individuals to serve in any capacity in the U.S. military. Our military must be focused on decisive and overwhelming victory and cannot be burdened with a tremendous medical costs and disruptions that transgender in the military would entail. Rebecca, what do you say to that?
Well, accept is the key word. They were about a year into implementing, and here came the decision about whether to bring in transgender recruits. We already know we do have transgender Americans serving in the military. Here's another twist. Trump is getting a lot of reaction, but you know, it's really up to Congress in the end. Congress legislated the role of women in the military for decades. So Congress can pass a law anytime allowing or disallowing transgender service by Americans in the military. And it will, I think, be up to them in the end to decide what to do with the transgender members that are serving now. So there's more to come on this story, and a lot of this is going to be not up to the president, but up to the Hill.
All right, guys, thanks so much for joining me tonight. Great job.